question is for the Minister of Energy, Northern Development and Mines. Yesterday, our Government for the People voted to pass third reading of Bill 34, the Green Energy Repeal Act. The Green Energy Act paved the way for the signing of horrible contracts that lined the pockets of insiders. No family should ever have to choose between heating and eating, and yet this is exactly the burden the last government put on our families. I was proud to stand with our government in cancelling the Green Energy Act, one of the worst bills in Ontario's history. For a decade and a half, we had to suffer the impacts of failed policies by the governments of Dalton McGuinty and the member from Don Valley West. Mr. Speaker, can the minister elaborate on why the Green Energy Act contracts were bad deals that took away the decision-making authority of municipalities?
Great question.
Minister of Energy, Northern Development and Mines, and Minister of Indigenous.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the member from Glanbrook for her important question. As I've said in this place before, the only thing green about the Green Energy Act was the green that lined the pockets of Liberal insiders, as these projects cost ratepayers, folks who pay their bills every month for energy in Ontario. But in keeping with quotable quotes, let's take a look at a few here. Laurie Goldstein from the Toronto Sun said that, quote, "The Liberals called their Green Energy Act fair. It was certainly fair to win power developers who received absurdly generous government subsidies to produce wind power." Rex Murphy, Mr. Speaker, quote, "Ontario's Green Energy Act was a horror for business, a gross invasion of municipal authority, and sent successive Auditor Generals to whatever is the Chartered Accountant's version of a hospice centre." Mr. Speaker, our government was elected to raise Ontario up from the energy policy sinkhole we found ourselves in. We cancelled those 758 renewable energy contracts, and now we're going to march forward, repeal this act, and lower hydro rates for the
Stop the clock. Stop the clock. Restart the clock. Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and back to the Minister of Energy. The expensive wind and solar projects our province did not need added a significant cost and burden to our province, and that's money that is coming out of the pockets of people right across Ontario. A 2015 Auditor General report found that ratepayers paid $37 billion more than the market price for electricity between 2006 and 2014, and would overpay another $133 billion by 2032. Over the years, the Liberals spent billions of taxpayer dollars to fund projects that simply weren't needed. These purchases were fueled by an ideology that favoured expensive, unreliable forms of renewable energy supplied by Liberal insiders. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to energy, could the minister confirm that the culture of waste at Queen's Park is over?
Minister.
These questions get me worked up, Mr. Speaker. Listen to Kevin Libben from the National Post. He said it best. The only businesses that need to worry are the government cronies whose sweetheart deals have long ripped off taxpayers. Mr. Speaker, these were projects that municipalities will now have the power to ensure they don't become home to wasteful energy projects our system doesn't need and many communities don't want. We believe, Mr. Speaker, that the people of Ontario should have the final say about what gets built in their community, that municipalities should have the power to stop expensive and unneeded energy projects in their community. So moving forward, Mr. Speaker, we will have a process that listens to the voices of municipalities. We will have lower costs that help get Ontario open for business, less expensive bills for families and businesses who pay an energy bill at the end of the month. Mr. Speaker, it's a great, great day today. We're going to be repealing the Green Energy Act. It's a victory for the people of Ontario, and it's worth celebrating.